Here is a factory Evo 10 turbine housing that I just machined. If you didn't know, the factory turbine housing is machinable to the TD06 SL2 turbine, which is 61 by 54, and it's also machinable to the TD06 turbine, which is 55 by 65. Now, this turbine housing is not machinable to the TD06H turbine, which is 58.8 by 67.2, unless you weld up the elbow where the outlet is of the turbine housing, because the casting is not thick enough to be able to support that turbine wheel. It will actually cut through the turbine housing. So it does have to be welded up if you want to do that turbine. However, there are some aftermarket turbine housings that are a thicker casting that come machined for that turbine wheel, the TD06H. So I usually just buy those. It's a lot better to have the OEM turbine housing if you can, because it has a nickel additive in it and it's much stronger and will hold up a lot better to heat. The negative side of the nickel turbine housings is that they will expand and trap the bolts in the turbine housing when you go to remove them after many heat cycles. So it usually breaks the bolts off when you go to remove the bolts. If you remove the turbine housing, it's a good idea to retap all the threads, even if you haven't broken any bolts inside of it. And this will just help prevent bolts from breaking on the turbine housing in the future when removing them. The advantage of going with a larger turbine wheel will prevent the engine from being suffocated by the turbo. With the smaller factory turbo, there's a point when the engine starts to outflow what the turbo is capable of doing. This usually happens at higher RPM, such as 6,500 and above. Because you can go with this larger turbine option, this allows for much better top end and mid-range power, and also helps give you a capability of 450 to 500 horsepower. If you're looking for someone to machine your turbine housing for the turbine wheel upgrade, we can do that service for you. You can always contact us at turbolabamerica@gmail.com.